Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joined today for the first time on Talking Fitchburg, but not the last, Zach Laundry from our utilities. Public works, but utilities, but I don't know. I figure like you're
more streets and transportation.
You do everything. I don't know. You guys do everything. That's the way I think. You guys are doing a lot of stuff. Nevertheless, Zach, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. There's always a lot going on construction-wise in the summer, so I'm just happy to provide some information.
Well, we're excited today to talk about a question that we get a lot is there's private utilities like an MG&E, a TDS, Spectrum, or you name it, and they're in front of my lawn doing something, and it leaves a lot of questions and answers. So that leads to kind of right-of-ways and easements. But first and foremost, contractors come in and do work all the time, and you guys do your best to notify people as things are happening. But when it comes to these types of utility projects, what's going on?
Yeah, so obviously, like you said, all those different contractors have to run their services. You know, people like their internet, people like their gas and electric, and the contractors need to construct their distribution lines. So they come into us, they submit a right-of-way permit, and then they have permission to work in the right-of-way. That's the roadway. So they usually put up door hangers or send out letters far in advance of these projects. They oftentimes can look like spam mail, and quite frankly, I throw them away when they get to my house too. So keep in mind that those door hangers do occasionally include important information. You know, they'll be coming through to do work. I think the biggest thing to keep in mind is that the roadway, it's called the right-of-way, or ROW. It includes the road, the curb and gutter, the terrace, the sidewalk, and usually a foot beyond the sidewalk. That's all city property, actually. So in most cases, even when there's not sidewalk in front of your house, a large portion of your yard is technically city property, and it's maintained jointly by the adjacent property owner and the city. Beyond that, there's a thing called an easement. Oftentimes they're called public utility easements for these public utilities. And essentially that's a further area that the contractors are allowed to do work on your property. Even though it is your property, those easements are created during the platting process. That's where your property was divided from a farm field, usually. They're allowed to come in on those easements, and the easements are transferred from property owner to property owner. It would have been included when you bought your property. You know, you can look at your survey or your plat map, and it'll show you the areas that the contractors are allowed to be in and construct their facilities.
And generally speaking, when it comes to utilities, they're put in these right-of-way areas generally. I mean, that's a loaded question because if it's gas and water, you know, it's obviously got to connect to your house.
Yeah.
But in these easement areas or right-of-ways, why are there different utility? Like, you could see multiple utility come and go.
Yeah, so the stuff that's in the easement or in the right-of-way is like the main distribution lines. It's not the stuff going to each individual house, because those obviously cross through and then connect to the houses or the buildings. But the main distribution lines run through the right-of-way and the easements. The reason why there's a bunch of different contractors is because there's a bunch of different services they provide. Like we said, there's water, there's gas, there's electric, there's telephone, there's internet, and even within stuff like telephone and internet, there's multiple contractors. So TDS and Charter Spectrum and AT&T, you know, they're all competing companies, and they don't share wires with each other. So oftentimes they'll come through, and it's all three different companies will do the exact same work, essentially, building out their distribution lines in the same area, even though somebody just came through and did it. So they really don't share, and that's frustrating, but that's just the world we live in.
So as these contractors come and go and doing their work, I think we get some questions on restoration afterwards. And basically it is on the responsibility of the company to get the work done. But if you're kind of curious or have concerns, where should you go to share those concerns so they know what you're worried about?
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, you should talk to the contractors that are out there. They are required to do the restoration. That means they are required to put back in dirt and grass seed and straw over the top. Oftentimes it might take a little while because they'll work through the whole project, you know, their whole project of a neighborhood, and they'll fill in stuff as they go, but then the restoration crews only come in once they're done with construction, and so then they do it all at once. If you can't talk to the crews that are doing it, let's say you're at work or you don't catch them, you can reach out to the companies directly. Oftentimes on those door hangers, they'll have a contact or a complaint line, and going through those is great. I'm compiling a list of those to put on our new website. I haven't quite gotten it all together yet, but I've got some of the companies, got some of their contact info, and you can call those numbers. If that still doesn't work, you can reach out to me directly. My email is also listed on the website, so you can email or call me, and I'll follow up with the contractors.
And I'm glad that you mentioned the website. So we did create a website, we being this guy right here, created a website. It's under private utility contractors. It's right on the what I'm going to call the homepage of the Public Works page. But on there explains the things we just talked about today. So if you see flags or paint markings in your lawn, you now know what's going on. We talk about the right-of-way. There's a video there for the right-of-way. There's a video about the easement. And then more importantly, if you got questions, you can always reach out, right? So if you're just not sure, you're concerned, or you're not, you can answer those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're not getting what you need from the website, feel free to give me a call or an email. I'm happy to answer anything that people have.
Yeah, well, I appreciate all the work on this, Zach, and hopefully people will check it out. And if you got concerns, let me know. But the city is growing, and there's a lot of things happening, and a lot of utilities that are going to come and go, and that's just part of what makes the city great with more utilities.
Yeah. The toughest part right now is that this new fiber internet is a thing, and so all the internet companies have to go install all the fiber optic lines. So for internet-wise, most homes haven't had construction since they were built in the late 70s to 2000s. They get their internet. We got our old coaxial internet back when that was the fastest thing, but now we're getting an upgrade, and it's a lot of construction for a lot of people.
All right. Well, I appreciate the time. Great work here. And again, you can always reach out to Zach if you got more questions.
Thank you.